It is 3 a.m. in an unnamed African valley. Your heavy rifle presses against a terrified local farmer. He clutches his crying child in the dark dirt. Your earpiece crackles with a cold corporate kill order. Exactly $30,000 awaits. In your Cayman account, you close your eyes and see the Texas foreclosure. The final bank notice demands immediate payment. By tomorrow, your finger slowly tightens around the cold metal trigger. You are no longer a decorated United States Marine. You're just a disposable mercenary executing a contract. You are 34 years old. An honorable discharge from the United States Marine Corps used to mean something. Now, it just means you receive generic letters from the Veterans Affairs Office. They just denied your spinal surgery funding for the third consecutive time. You served 3 brutal tours in the Middle East. You brought all your men home safely, but you brought back a shattered spine that throbs every single time you breathe. The quiet Texas suburban dream you fought so hard for is rapidly slipping away. Your family medical debt just hit exactly $150,000. The bank is circling your 3-bedroom house like hungry vultures. You are sitting in a cheap diner, drinking burnt coffee when he finally walks in. His name is Miller. He is 45 years old and used to be your commanding sergeant. You bled into the same sand together in Fallujah. But Miller does not wear dusty camouflage uniforms anymore. He steps out of a sleek black Porsche 911, wearing a tailored Italian suit. A heavy gold Rolex Submariner catches the diner lights as he slides into the sticky vinyl booth. He looks at your worn-out flannel shirt and knows exactly how desperate your situation is. He works as a senior risk recruitment director for a private military corporation. Miller silently slides a thick manila folder across the table. It contains a standard independent contractor agreement and an advance check. He tells you the government simply outsources all the dirty work now. There are no shiny medals and no folded flags. There are only massive wire transfers into offshore accounts. That promises enough upfront cash to fix your ruined spine and save your Texas home in a single month. You think about the crushing $150,000 hospital bill sitting in your pocket. You take his expensive pen and sign the paper without reading the terms. Your massive medical debts are miraculously wiped clean the very next morning. But later that night, Miller sends you the encrypted coordinates for your first blood contract. The drop zone sits 40 miles outside Nairobi. You carry 60 pounds of heavy tactical gear. Your customized M4 rifle holds 30 armor-piercing rounds. You carry 3 fragmentation grenades on your vest. The briefing dossier detailed a dangerous terror cell. They were, supposedly, destroying million-dollar corporate mining equipment. You navigate the dense brush in total silence. Your combat boots crush the dry African dirt. You set up your sniper position on a ridge. You take a deep breath of the dusty air. It is exactly 3 a.m. in the valley. You peer through your advanced thermal imaging optics. The glowing heat signatures reveal a sickening truth. There are no hardened terrorists hiding down there. There are no explosives or heavy machine guns. You just see a desperate, skinny local farmer. He holds a rusty shovel near a dirt well. He is protecting his water from corporate bulldozers. He clutches his crying child in the darkness. Your earpiece crackles with a cold corporate command. The operator confirms the 30,000 kill bonus. You hesitate for exactly 4 agonizing seconds. You think about the foreclosure notices in Texas. You remember the crushing $150,000 medical debt. You slowly squeeze the cold metal trigger. Anyway, the suppressed shot breaks the quiet night air. The innocent farmer drops instantly to the earth. You watch the life leave the man's eyes. The child screams in the pitch-black valley. You pack your heavy gear and walk away. You do not look back at the dead body. The company pays for results, not your morality. The extraction chopper arrives in exactly 12 minutes. The helicopter blades chop through the humid wind. You sit in the loud cabin feeling nauseous. Your hands shake uncontrollably for the first time. You wash the dried blood off your boots. You drink a warm beer on the long flight. The alcohol helps numb the stinging moral pain. Then your encrypted phone vibrates in your pocket. The offshore Cayman account shows a $30,000 deposit. You stare at the digital numbers on your screen. The heavy, suffocating guilt suddenly starts to evaporate. You wire the untraceable funds back to America. You completely pay off your Chase credit cards. You buy a brand new Ford F-150 truck. You finally schedule your expensive private spinal surgery. $30,000 buys a whole lot of peace. The crushing financial weight is suddenly completely gone. You sit in your living room, feeling powerful. You FaceTime your young daughter that same evening. She smiles widely through the glowing phone screen. She shows you her expensive new plastic toys. You take your wife out for steak dinner. You order a 200 bottle of Napa wine. She smiles and holds your hand across the table. She thinks you are doing security consulting work. You tell yourself the bloody money was completely justified. You did it to protect your own family. The nightmare of losing your home is finally over. You tell yourself you are still a good man. You just did what any desperate father would do. The corporation got their land for the pipeline. You got the cash to save your own life. You think you can just wash your hands now? You believe you can easily walk away clean? You think this was just a one-time thing? But wait, the real nightmare is just beginning. Because the next morning, your encrypted phone rings again. A Level 1 corporate contract appears on your desk. The Level 1 contract changes your entire world, instantly and violently. You stop being a frightened veteran, desperately trying to survive suburban poverty. You officially become a heavily armed ghost, operating completely outside international law. Private military contractors do not ever fight for the American flag. They fight exclusively for multinational corporate interests and massive quarterly stock profits. The Pentagon quietly outsources their most controversial and bloody black ops to your company. This deliberate strategy keeps the messy political fallout completely off the evening news. You are now making a guaranteed $10,000 every single day. The dirty money floods your offshore accounts faster than you can ever spend it. Is this not the absolute pinnacle of the modern American dream? You sign incredibly strict ironclad non-disclosure agreements instead of pledging allegiance to the Constitution. The strict rules of engagement you once learned in the Marines simply disappear. You quickly realize that global warfare is just a highly lucrative corporate enterprise. Human lives are merely calculated as acceptable collateral damage on sanitized financial spreadsheets. You conduct aggressive tactical extractions without ever worrying about annoying military tribunals. If a clandestine mission goes horribly wrong, the multinational corporation simply denies your existence. But the massive risk premium easily justifies the heavy deposits hitting your Swiss bank. You sit in luxury airport lounges drinking expensive scotch between violent deployments. Your company operates completely within the dark gray areas of international legislation. You regularly coordinate with corrupt foreign officials, using funds designated for international aid. The American taxpayers unknowingly finance your lifestyle through massively inflated defense spending budgets. You guard illegal diamond mines and protect controversial logging operations in protected rainforests. The corporate executives in Washington casually authorize lethal force during catered boardroom luncheons. You realize that true global power does not reside in the Oval Office anymore. True power sits with anonymous shareholders, demanding consistent, year-over-year corporate revenue growth. You gladly become their brutal enforcer because the massive direct deposits never, ever bounce. Every time you pull the trigger, some unknown executive gets a bigger holiday bonus. The violent escalation happens so smoothly, you barely even notice the moral decay. Your elite tactical squad gets deployed to a mineral-rich region in South America. A massive global energy conglomerate needs a clear path for their new oil pipeline. Your official classified mission briefing calls it aggressive indigenous relocation and asset pacification. You methodically burn down entire generational farming villages without a single second thought. You watch terrified, screaming families flee from their ancestral homes in absolute panic. You do not see desperate, innocent refugees begging for basic human mercy anymore. You only see cleared acreage that absolutely guarantees your massive quarterly performance bonus. You have effectively become a highly efficient machine, engineered purely for corporate violence. The blood on your hands just looks like wet ink on a lucrative contract. You take a short, mandated leave and fly first class, straight to Dubai. You stare coldly at your reflection in the tinted window of a luxury vehicle. You are wearing a ridiculously expensive, tailored Italian suit, exactly like Miller did. A heavy, solid gold Rolex Daytona now casually rests on your left wrist. You have completely transformed into the exact corporate monster who originally recruited you. The chronic pain in your damaged spine is completely gone after the premium surgery. The crushing suburban financial anxiety that once defined your miserable life has been eradicated. You feel like an untouchable god, standing above the trivial laws of ordinary men. What could possibly stop a man who can literally buy his own justice? You genuinely believe you are the corporation's most incredibly valuable tactical asset. You think your elite combat experience makes you completely irreplaceable to the executive board. Your massive, unchecked arrogance blinds you to the cold reality of the corporate machine. You assume the massive, bloody paychecks will just keep flowing in forever without consequence. You think you have finally mastered the dangerous game of modern privatized warfare. But wait, this highly lucrative and comfortable illusion is about to be violently shattered. Because everything you know instantly changes during the routine extraction operation at Sector 4. Sector 4 is supposed to be a completely routine, secure and hold operation. It is a catastrophic lie. You are instantly ambushed by over 200 heavily armed insurgents. Grid coordinate 44-9er. Pinned down. Automatic gunfire violently shreds the concrete walls, completely surrounding your squad. Your point man takes a massive sniper round directly to the throat. Dead. He drops instantly into the bloody dirt. You fire back blindly. 30 rounds. Reload. 30 more. The oppressive air smells heavily of burning sulfur and hot copper. Your encrypted tactical radio screams with overlapping panicked voices. You have exactly 7 magazines left. Only 4 surviving operators are trapped inside this crumbling industrial factory. You violently punch the emergency extraction code into your satellite radio. You demand an immediate armored Black Hawk helicopter pickup. Time to target is estimated at 12 agonizing minutes. Exactly 6,000 miles away, in Washington, D.C., a secure phone rings. It sits on a perfectly polished mahogany conference table. The massive corner office beautifully overlooks the peaceful Potomac River. The corporate chief executive officer slowly sips an $18 artisan espresso. He wears a custom $4,000 Tom Ford suit. He casually checks his solid gold Patek Philippe watch. It is exactly 9 a.m. on the East Coast. The office air conditioning is set to a comfortable 68 degrees. He calmly listens to the frantic screaming radio chatter broadcasting from Sector 4. The urgent extraction request glows bright red on his pristine iPad screen. Dispatch quickly estimates the emergency rescue operation will cost exactly $5 million. The heavily modified Black Hawk helicopter itself is an uninsured corporate asset. The CEO casually mutes the live audio feed. He opens a highly classified digital financial spreadsheet. He does the brutal math. You are bleeding heavily from a jagged shrapnel wound in your left shoulder. 3 minutes left. The relentless insurgents are moving significantly closer. They are aggressively flanking the rear entrance. You throw 2 fragmentation grenades. Explosions violently rock the compound. Dirt rains down. Your desperate radio operator begs the corporate dispatcher for an updated ADA. You confidently promise your terrified men, the bird is coming. You tell them the company always takes care of its elite assets. You truly believe it. You think your highly specialized tactical skills make you utterly irreplaceable to the executive board. You think the millions of dollars you personally generated absolutely guarantee your expensive rescue. You frantically check your remaining ammunition. 2 magazines left. The enemy forces are actively breaching the outer perimeter. Time is completely running out. The CEO silently stares out the floor-to-ceiling glass windows at the Capitol building. He rationally calculates the massive potential legal liabilities. 4 dead independent contractors simply mean 4 standard life insurance payouts that costs the corporation exactly $2 million. Risking the expensive helicopter costs over $5 million. He also carefully considers the massive public relations nightmare if you are captured alive. You know entirely too many classified corporate secrets. You signed strict NDAS, but severe torture makes even the strongest men talk. The United States Congress is already quietly investigating the company's overseas operations. A viral hostage video would instantly crash the quarterly stock price by at least 12%. The CEO calmly turns back to the glowing tablet screen. He makes the final executive decision. It is purely business, nothing personal. Denied. Your radio suddenly crackles with high-level military encryption. The dispatcher's voice is completely devoid of any human emotion. Extraction is officially aborted. Denied. No rescue bird is coming. You stare at the radio in total disbelief. Silence. Complete and utter silence inside your own mind. The deafening gunfire outside suddenly feels very far away. The horrifying realization hits you much harder than a physical bullet. You never were a highly valued corporate asset. You are just a completely disposable liability on a financial spreadsheet. The real enemy is not the heavily armed insurgents breaching the metal door. the most dangerous enemy is the man in the tailored suit sitting safely in Washington, D.C. But wait, the absolute worst part of this corporate betrayal has not even happened yet. The radio crackles one final time. The dispatcher announces a total site sterilization protocol. Broken Arrow, they are not sending a rescue helicopter to save you. They are sending an armed predator drone. It is already hovering directly above your exact grid coordinates. They are going to erase the entire site to protect corporate interests. Erase the insurgents. Erase you. Erase the legal liability entirely. You hear the terrifying high-pitched whistle falling rapidly from the clouds. Impact. The world instantly erupts in blinding white fire. The massive concrete ceiling collapses directly onto your body. Searing pain violently tears through your lower half. Your right leg is instantly crushed under 3 tons of burning debris. Blackness. You slowly open your eyes to the blinding fluorescent lights of a private medical facility. The constant rhythmic beeping of the heart monitor echoes through the sterile, silent white room. You groggily look down to discover the lower half of your right leg is gone. A sharply dressed corporate lawyer stands quietly at the foot of your uncomfortable hospital bed. He does not ask about your injuries or offer genuine human sympathy for your loss. He unemotionally slides a comprehensive severance package and massive non-disclosure agreements toward your trembling hands. The corporation has officially terminated your lucrative employment contract due to your new physical liability. They generously wired a final medical settlement of $500,000 to your account. You are absolutely nothing to them anymore. Just another successfully closed legal file. The terrifying corporate machine simply chewed you up and violently spat out your broken pieces. But the devastating loss of your limb and your violent career does not actually matter. You stare at the staggering account balance glowing on your encrypted phone with paternal pride. You finally have enough money to secure your beautiful young daughter's incredibly expensive medical treatment. The massive hospital bill back in Texas is no longer a terrifying, insurmountable financial obstacle. You eagerly dial your familiar home number, completely ignoring the burning phantom pain in your leg. You imagine the sheer relief that will suddenly wash over your tired wife's beautiful face. Your wife, eventually, answers the ringing phone, and her voice sounds hollow and terrifyingly distant. You enthusiastically tell her about the massive financial settlement and the top-tier doctors you can afford. You passionately promise her that the endless nightmare of crushing medical debt is permanently over. You promise her you are finally coming home to be the loving father they deserve. The phone line remains agonizingly silent for what feels like an entire lifetime of regret. You can clearly hear her shallow, ragged breathing echoing through the tiny speaker of your device. When your wife finally speaks, her quiet, trembling words violently shatter your remaining reality into pieces. She tearfully whispers that your precious daughter actually passed away in her hospital bed last Tuesday. She deliberately hid the devastating tragedy from you because she knew you were on deployment. She desperately wanted you to stay completely focused so you could safely return alive to Texas. The cold, heavy smartphone slowly slips from your trembling fingers and crashes onto the sterile floor. The $500,000 sitting safely in your offshore account instantly becomes utterly worthless. Every horrific compromise you made and every innocent life you destroyed was for absolutely nothing. The dark, suffocating realization of your irreversible moral decay slowly wraps its hands around your throat. You are ultimately returned to a quiet, empty suburban neighborhood in Texas, sitting completely alone in a cold metal wheelchair. You stare blankly at the perfectly manicured, green lawn of the empty house you fought so desperately hard to save. You are exactly where you started this deeply tragic journey, physically broken and permanently abandoned by the ruthless American system. But this terrible time, you do not even have the warm love of your beautiful family or your honorable moral conscience. You tragically traded your fundamental humanity for bloody pieces of silver that you cannot ever use to buy back lost time. You sold your soul to the devil to save your angel, only to realize the devil had already taken them both.